Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg. We're in the bottom left hand corner. In game number 1 we have none other than GuMiho and his opponent in the top right. With the red Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Rogue. I've been loving GuMiho's games lately. I don't know if there's going to be Battlecruisers again in this particular series, but I'm here for it. I would really like to see some more Battlecruisers, Gumi. So I recently featured GuMiho going up against another Zerg player. And in that particular series against Raynor, he decided to do a late game Battlecruiser transition. So he opened up with a very curious 1-1-1, a triple command center, 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, then into a good old 5 Rex, built a 4th command center, then went into 8 Rex, and then after that, that's when he transitioned towards Battlecruisers. Normally, in that position of the game, Terrans will make a transition towards, well, Ghosts and Liberators with range and a whole lot of command centers and all the rest of it. GuMiho decided to dump all of his money onto Battlecruisers instead. So I don't know if he just did that in one game and just thought it was fun and then he's no longer doing it, or if it's actually a standard. We'll have to see. If the games go on long enough, and obviously you never really know, Rogue tends to be quite aggressive. Well, we'll have to find out. Rogue, of course, also the man who, in my mind, almost reinvented late-game ZVT a little bit. Still, he's the only one playing it, but at the end of last year, he ended up going for that Mass Overseer approach. Mass Overseer, Mass Knight as well. Very cool style. Very fun to watch. So, I don't think Rogue really has a ton of urgency in his gameplay. At least not as far as, like, winning against Terran here in the mid-game goes. Because his late game has looked really solid. Admittedly, I haven't really seen him play a lot of late game as of late, because he generally seems to have the games over with by then, but we'll have to see. This is a map, Amygdala, where you can certainly take a lot of expansions relatively easily. It's the map with the tentacle rocks. The rocks that bleed out by about minute 8. And then you have a little bit more accessibility in the center of the map. He is scouting, though, with the Overlords in such a way that he would spot, so you can kind of see the outline here. He would spot any sort of proxy barracks going up on the other side of the map. For now, though, everything's looking real normal. Triple hatch beginning right here for Rogue, just with good old Zergling speed. He pulled the drones out at 100 gas. No additional mining whatsoever. It means that he can get the link speed started and finished by the time that Hellions can start roaming his side of the map aggressively. This is a starport before a 3rd command center. So, second gas is not quite at the exact same time as we normally would see it. So, we get to a little bit of a faster starport and therefore faster Banshees. But it also means he's going to get a later command center. His 3rd command center is going to be a bit late, meaning that GuMiho does need to deal some sort of damage in the early game, because otherwise Rogue is going to run away with the win. It's actually not very popular as of late. We've been seeing pretty much exclusively triple CC before starport as of late. Hellions are roaming around. I don't know if I love it on this map in particular, to be honest, because generally you can go Hellion Banshee very effectively on maps with lots of aggression, right? Like lots of attack paths. Amygdala really only has 2 lanes, so the Banshee is going to be able to make its way towards the other side of the map pretty easily, but then the Hellions are unlikely to really do a lot of damage at the same time. Unless he's obviously not paying attention. There is link speed. This is not a gasless opener. I think Rogue actually hit those for the time being. I don't like this for GuMiho at all. Yeah, he killed some Lings, but that's not good enough. More Hellions are showing up, but the problem you run into at this point is that you're kind of forced to deal some sort of damage now. And when you lose 2 Hellions before the fight really begins, you're unlikely to really get a lot of damage done. I do believe that the Banshee is unspotted for now. Actually, relatively early Spore Crawlers here for Rogue. I think Rogue figured it out perfectly. Did he see the timing of the 3rd CC? Maybe he saw the SCV heading on down south. Well, now he's going to see the timing and he realizes exactly what he's playing against. The timing on those Spores is excellent. Generally, we don't see them starting up until right about right now, meaning that Cloaked Banshees would be catching you off guard, but this one, not really achieving that much. Would have been nice to have 2 additional Hellions here, Gumi. Queen came in from the main. Hellions roam into the natural. I think this is more than GuMiho could have bargained for. Yeah. He got a little lucky here, if I'm being brutally honest. And I still don't think it's a great situation. 8 drones for that many units. For that poor of an early game. Third CC finally begins again. Those lings really did slow it down. Okay. Rogue has full control of this match. And what does Gumi do? He plays mech. We're going 2 additional factories. Alright. Hope you got yourself a drink. I actually already have my coffee run out. I got a big bottle of water, but this is the type of game that can go on for a whole lot longer. Unless Rogue figures it out soon, when the siege tanks start rolling off the conveyor belts, man. Yeah, we are in for a long one at that point. And Rogue is unlikely to really figure this out. I mean, he's going for an Overseer. Overseer is actually pretty quick. If he sends it straight into the main, which he is, he should be able to see that this is indeed a Terran Mech transition. Okay. So full mech. This is definitely not a popular playstyle in 2024. We're going Cyclones instead. Yeah, we're going full battle mech. So we're going Cyclone, Speed Banshees, and then a bunch of Hellions and Hellbats. That's the plan. A transition towards siege tanks a little bit later on will likely be the weapon of choice. Hellions going around the site. We should definitely get the Blue Flame upgrade too, if this is what we're going to be playing. Factory 3 and 4. No, 4 and 5 coming up. Armor upgrade here, researching 2 for GuMiho. So this version of the Cyclone, I know it's a little confusing. We've had lots of different versions of Cyclones over the last couple of years. This particular version of the Cyclone, though, deals most of its damage with the lock-on ability. So it's got that lock-on improvement that allows it to deal additional damage. And that one is considered to be a spell. And spells in StarCraft 2 don't deal additional damage based on upgrades. So we decide to go armor instead. Losing those Hellions does kind of suck, though. Not loving that. Hyperflight Rotors is the Banshee speed improvement. We have more Banshees coming up. Infernal Pre-Igniter coming up. We have a little bit of everything. Okay. So Rogue has figured out what he's playing against. What's his response? Well, nothing all too dedicated so far. He's going into a Hive, yes. He's going Roach Speed. He's going into all of the other upgrades. But it looks to me like he wants to be facing this army head on. I'm not even entirely sure what the best approach is in 2025, if I'm being honest with you. We don't really see a lot of Terran Mech. Generally, Zergs have gone for Infestor play. They've gone for Viper play. You can kind of go Swarm Host against this sort of thing too, if it's not too Battle Mech-y. We have a Raven even coming up right now for Gumi, so he really is going full Battle Mech. Just a roaming squad of units that is quite mobile. Yeah, looks like Rogue may just want to... Oh, really? We're going to fight fire with fire. We're going to go Tunneling Claws for Roaches. That allows them to move around underground. It slows the game. Yeah, it slows it down a ton, though. I've got a feeling this is giving GuMiho a lot of wiggle room. And I'm already really quite enjoying the position here for Gumi. I thought the early game was amazing for Rogue. Now it's sort of turned into a pretty mediocre situation. Not a bad one. But his economy is kind of eh. His tech is kind of eh. His upgrades aren't amazing. Additional factories. Factories 6, 7, and 8. On the production tab. Do we not go second armory yet? I kind of got a feeling we should go and build a second armory soon. It's going to be hard to afford all of the production here, though. He's going to need that 4th base to go up and running, and that's exactly where he's headed right now. Gas is the main bottleneck when you play Terran Mech, so getting these extra refineries up and going here is very critical. Planetary Fortress makes a ton of sense. Look at his army. Full Battle Mech. I kind of dig it. Now, we've seen this go horribly wrong many times for Battle Mech enjoyers. Where it's like one fungal growth and the army just sort of disappears. So this army is expensive. It takes a long time to build. Yes, it's really powerful, but it doesn't have that much sustainability. So it doesn't have that much... Like, it's got a lot of firepower, but it's speccing full into damage and nothing into survivability, you know? This is like the Fire Mage or the Frost Mage of StarCraft 2 unit compositions. Oh, well, he has caught a lot of roaches on the other side of the map. Raven is up in the air. Okay, a lot of the roaches do slither away just barely in time. Second armory, by the way, was produced. 5th command center coming up. We have a hive, but that's when we're gonna go lurker then? Rogue is basically saying, yo, let's play the game. So not really using this as an opportunity to transition towards anything or to try and punish his opponent or anything along those lines. This is a very passive way of playing the game here from Rogue. And maybe it's the right approach, because again, we don't see a lot of Terran Mech. He may have played against it a whole lot more than me, but I do think there was an opportunity for him to try and punish this. Now we're effectively going straight to the late game. Very curious. A second starport is coming up. I mean, I don't want to get too excited, but I feel like Terran Mech into Battlecruisers would be a bit of a banger. It's a little early for that, though, but GuMiho is maxed out right now, so he's thinking, yo, I may as well build the rest of my infrastructure for now. Obviously, I've gone on and on and on about this in previous casts, but I think the current Zerg late game options are all very mediocre. None of them are particularly great in my book. So maybe this is actually an excellent way to play. Even though we haven't seen it much, because Terran Bio seems to be very effective. Yeah, additional starports again. Fusion core on the back of this too. 4 command centers on the production tab. Speed Banshees and Cyclones and Hellions just to buy an awful lot of time to ultimately just play a very late game focused army. He still needs to be careful, but he's putting in a lot of work. Oh. What? Huh. I'll be back in a second. Take 2. Action. Ah, it works. Excellent. Fusion cores come. Where were we? Completely out of my groove. All right. We were out here in the middle of the map. Rogue going in with a blinding cloud on top of the siege tanks. In the meantime, we have an anti-armor missile as well. Some good abductions. Rogue basically is telling his opponent to get off his lawn. Yeah. My cat had a very similar situation yesterday in the backyard. I have a tiny backyard, and apparently there was another cat there. Toby was pissed. He was not happy. This was a lovely play, actually, from Rogue. Really, the most useful lunging on Hydras that I've ever seen. And he's immediately now using this as an opportunity to try and pounce on the planetary fortress at the 6 o'clock on the map, too. Not quite enough. Decides to send some of the Hydras away again. In the meantime, we have a couple Cloak Banshees pretending to be Formula 1 cars. 13 and 18 kills. That's a lot of kills for a couple of Banshees. Go away! Fly, you fool! In the meantime, there's a Hydralisk group in the far bottom right killing another CC. And this is a little awkward. We've had a lot of bases now going down. GuMiho wants to make Battlecruisers, I believe. Yeah, that is the plan. He starts them up. Okay, so it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just one time. He's actually just playing full Battlecruiser again. Rather than going Marines into Battlecruisers, we're going Mech into Battlecruisers. Is it any better? I don't know. I don't think so. Probably not. But I can almost guarantee you that Rogue is not expecting it. If you're Rogue right now, do you expect a bunch of Battlecruisers to come out? Well, he's not 100% convinced that there won't be Battlecruisers. Difficult for the Zerg at this point to really scout this sort of thing out, though. He has no idea. This could be just a full-on siege tank transition, or maybe he's anticipating Liberators. I would not be surprised to see Liberators at this point at all. Hellions zoom into the natural expansion. They've been trying to do this ever since minute 4, and this time around, they're getting a lot of value. Ton of drones going down. Most importantly, maybe here for GuMiho, this is also going to open up some supply. Don't tell the Hellions, but he doesn't want them anymore. Yeah, he is just trying to min-max their value. So so he can replace them with something better. Greater Spire on the back of this too. He's saving up Battlecruisers. How many Battlecruisers can a man possibly save? Set the course. Battlecruiser operational. Those are my best impressions, I don't know. Anyways, we have additional BCs finishing up. I wonder if you can hide like 6 Battlecruisers and then suddenly, you know, whip them out. Don't just whip out your Battlecruiser. But I am wondering what would happen. Just making 2 of them is kind of, you know, unexciting. Got a feeling GuMiho is just gonna fly around a little bit. You should really be getting the weapon refit in the fusion core. I think it'll probably be quite nice. Very quick reaction right there by GuMiho. Did you see that? Or by Rogue, rather. I guess he may have had his camera on this location, but that was really fast. The Queen burrows. Yoink! Teleport! Oh god, awkward, awkward. Okay. Using mules on a golden base does not increase its yield. This is actually a bit of a waste of mules, but I guess it's fine. We should probably be using SCVs here, but I guess because this is so exposed, he figured it's fine. Weapon refit now coming up. That'll unlock the Yamato cannon upgrade. Fun fact, it took me about a decade and a half, okay, maybe a decade of playing StarCraft pretty much every day to learn that the Battlecruiser visually changes with the weapon refit upgrade. I'm hoping this is gonna blow one person's mind, but basically the front of the Battlecruiser will split up and it will show that it can actually launch a missile through the front. Yeah. This is crazy, dude. I never knew this. I'm gonna try and catch it in this particular game. It'll be a little bit until weapon refit is done, but it does visually change the BC. Kind of like how Tunneling Claws visually changes the roaches. They get like little spikes and stuff growing out of their carapace. Corruptor's coming. GuMiho's economy is pretty good. GuMiho is going additional... Wait, really? We're going 12? 12 factories? That's a lot of factories, man. Okay, Yamato cannon finishing up 11. Look at the head of the... that's weird. Look at the face of the Battlecruiser. It's gonna open. Please tell me nobody knew that. Anyways, we do have some jumpy boys over here as they get out. Raven does not have that luxury. Okay, gets an anti-armor missile. That's nice and all. I think the idea right here for GuMiho is to make a sudden transition from Battlecruisers, from siege tanks, into just about 1 million Cyclones. Give or take 1 million. Maybe somewhat less. Cyclones are actually pretty darn good when it comes to fighting basically anything. It's just very glass cannony, you know? Boom, 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 boom. Anti-armor missile goes down. BC still trying their very best. Additional corruptors on the production tab too. I don't think that was particularly great there for Rogue. This is actually looking like a very scary push here for GuMiho. GuMiho still has a lot of opportunities in this game. He's got a lot going for himself. A stupid amount of money. Boom. Brute Lord goes down. Lock on right there of the Cyclones does quite well. Now those abductions. You know what? Microbial Shroud actually kind of a banger in this particular situation. The siege tanks though are just tearing everything apart. What a game. Lovely work right here by Gumi. Yeah, and I feel like time and time again, I'm repeating myself a little bit in many of these casts, but time and time again, the Zerg late game is just, it's lacking a little bit of oomph. These are all mid-game units for Rogue, other than a couple brutes, but they're absolute garbage, not really doing anything. This is mostly just to get the siege tanks to deal friendly fire. That's basically why the Brute Lords exist. It's a bit of a pathetic existence, if I'm being honest with you. It just doesn't really feel that good. Yeah, it's just more Hydras, more Lurkers, more Zerglings, more Corruptors. It's a little bit of everything, but not particularly exciting. Rogue's gas bank is now depleted. This base is not going to happen either. He's mining as much gas as he can possibly get in this game, but I don't think he's going to be able to really make an army that will work against this type of Terran force. He can keep this all at bay, but GuMiho still has a lot of money, although I say that. Those blinding clouds were pretty good. Corruptors up in the air, though, a little too specialized. And this is one of those really sneaky things from Terrans. I always like this. Now that the Battlecruisers have been entirely dealt with, the Corruptors are effectively dead weight. The only thing Rogue can really do is go puke on structures, I guess, but that doesn't really work. Or make Brute Lords. And in both instances, Cyclones is an excellent option. So after losing all of these, he's forced out Mass Corruptor. Now we're gonna go and transition towards as many Cyclones and apparently Ravens as possible. He's made a bunch of them now. +2 air is gonna finish up. Ship weapons level 2, that is. Now that the BCs are dead. Can we do another anti-armor missile? Doesn't quite have the energy for it yet. Thors are coming up too. Another excellent late game option here in this sort of scenario. Brute Lords get torn apart by those. Another hatchery falls. Yeah, GuMiho is just playing his opponent here. Those abductions are nice. The only thing really missing here in this late game picture is a bunch of ghosts. GuMiho could add on ghosts if he really wanted to. He's not going to in a game like this. I mean, he made more factories than he was ever going to be able to make use of, but... GuMiho effectively made... how many Battlecruisers? 10 Battlecruisers. Honestly, that's more than I thought. But he made a lot of Battlecruisers to force out Corruptors. And at that point, he decided to counter the Corruptors extremely hard with everything else. Like, there's still a lot of Corruptors up in the air doing very little because Rogue doesn't know if his opponent is once more going to add on more of those units. Now, GuMiho is getting a little ahead of himself. I don't think he needs to be this aggressive. He could just chill for a little bit and spend a bit of time just breathing, trying to get some additional units out. GuMiho is taking the far top left. He's now capturing the far bottom right as well. Rogue is completely broke. He's got a good army though, but this is effectively the army that needs to win the game. 8 siege tanks coming up at once, while also making 8 Hellions and a Battlecruiser. God. This is like one of those rap videos, you know, where like the guys are just flexing with how much money they have. Rogue can't see it, but GuMiho is really trying to call his opponent poor. StarCraft 2 rap battles. Pretty sick. All right, here comes the attack. Really, this is essentially supposed to be the game-winning play. In the meantime, we have a Battlecruiser flyby. This is mostly just to put on some additional pressure. These are actually sacrificial Battlecruisers. They tactically jumped across the map. And now they're going to die. But they have bought more time. Yeah, they're just dealing whatever damage they can. I mean, in the meantime, there is a lot of SCV damage. That's 32-ish workers going down. A lurker over here, also securing tons of damage. GuMiho is actually kind of throwing the game. I think he's still in a game-winning position. But he is, you know, he didn't think about his tax returns or paying any of them, you know? Like, he was flexing his money, but now he realized that the government wanted a piece of it too. This could be very embarrassing. GuMiho actually had everything at his disposal, and he still does, but we're kind of getting to the point where he's broke. Like, he has depleted his bank. His army is still looking so good, though. He's actually stopped making SCVs, too. So he now wants to go 200 army supply. Look at the bank. He's got nothing. Anti-armor missile still being very helpful. Rogue never is gonna go down without a fight. And you know what? He may be just onto something here. Rogue coming through the center of the map. He needs to be careful. Those siege tanks, if they fire... oh my god, they're firing. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of the Hydras. That got extremely close near the end, but ultimately it's the GuMiGod who obtains the victory. Next up, we find ourselves on another big map, even bigger than the previous one. We find ourselves on Abyssal Reef. We can play I don't want to make any real suggestions here, Gumi, but we could play the same thing again. Yeah, sometimes when you're winning the game really, really hard, you just kind of start throwing stuff at your opponent, right? You're like, here's my chair, here's the kitchen sink, I found this in a drawer, right? You just try to throw everything at the opponent because the game kind of feels like you can't lose. You feel practically invincible. Then you realize you're still going up against one of those Zerg players who never gives up. Like, I already mentally checked out of that game. Rogue did not. Like, Rogue was still fighting. And he almost got the win there. If GuMiho just had one more fight that wasn't, well, the one that we saw with the siege tanks tearing everything apart there at the very end, there was a chance for Rogue to actually obtain the victory. A little bit messy. A little unnecessary too, but still a very fun game to watch. Yeah, when you built that many starports and then like 14 factories, he probably had about 14 command centers too. Yeah, he was preparing for the next game, I guess. But sadly for him, you cannot take any of the stuff you built into the next match. Yeah. And let that be a lesson for us all. GuMiho showing that apparently that's how you need to live life. Yeah, you need to take it to the fullest. Can't take it into the next playthrough. Fair enough, Gumi. Very wise lesson. But maybe a little too frivolous. Anyways, it's gonna be a triple CC opener after a cheeky little double Rex. Please note that this is one barracks more than he made in the entirety of the previous game. Yeah. It's a long game. Only made one barracks. Third CC is gonna finish. And this will get scouted right now for Rogue. Gives him all the information that he really needs. I didn't really like the way that Rogue played the mid game in that previous match too much, if I'm being honest. I feel like it was kind of going nowhere. Effectively, what Rogue's game plan was, is to let the opponent come to him. So, he got a nice little lead in the early game, and then just sort of sat on it. It is an approach, but it's a very... I would like to see something that's a little bit more proactive, you know? Like, it's a very passive way to play. I just don't know if it's the way to do it. Oh, almost got the job done in the end. This creep tumor is misplaced. It's actually blocking. General positioning for a creep tumor on this map is right over here. So you can still spread it to the low ground. This position over here means that you can't actually finish up the wall. Anyways, it'll be good old Ling Bane right here for Rogue. No Roach Warren this time around. Lara's only about maybe halfway done, so maybe he's anticipating something a little weird. What has he seen? Yeah, it could be some sort of weird timing attack here. Doesn't really look like it. This looks like a GuMiho game to me, where it's really hard to judge what's actually happening. It's gonna be Marines. Marines and siege tanks in strange quantities at weird timings. But ultimately, all the roads do lead to Rome, so he should be fine. Zergling's gonna check it right now too. Yeah, he's actually very afraid of a timing attack. I don't think that's really the case. Yeah, GuMiho could go for a move. But I'm pretty sure GuMiho's just chilling. He's playing SimCity right now. He's making walls. Making another supply depot. This is a weird moment to be moving out. What exactly is this timing? It's when combat shields and +1 are not even halfway. I mean, it's before Zerg is going to be able to finish up speed on the Banelings, I guess. It's a lot of Terran troops, but as soon as Baneling speed finishes up, this is going to be an easy kill. Still though, oh, that's a little while away. Lovely counterattack here. I was wondering where Rogue's units were. Lovely counterattack here by the Zerg. Kills 10 SCVs. On the third base. This is the fourth hatchery, of course, for Rogue. Banelings! Woo! Close. Link's going in for round number 2. Trying to get that siege tank to deal some friendly fire, but brilliant aggression here by Rogue. Really well done. And in the meantime, the clock is ticking. Baneling speed is almost done. Centrifugal hooks. Really? Okay, this is a little overly ambitious. Like, you've already killed the SCVs, Rogue. Rogue is one of those luxury spots right now, too, man. He's like, yo, I want to kill your SCVs, but since I've already killed your SCVs, I can't kill your SCVs. Can you please make some more SCVs so I can kill your SCVs? Yeah, that was a little unnecessary. 4 banelings worth down the drain. A couple Zerglings, too. This is now suddenly making this attack from GuMiho a lot more committed. His army supply is at 69, which is quite good, but it's just not like an easy fight to take. This is a good position, though, with siege tanks, yeah. These positions over here are really obnoxious for the Zerg to deal with. We've seen this time and time again. Oh. GuMiho, GuMiho, GuMiho with the cheeky little push. Ling's going around the back as well. Is there enough for the South Korean Zerg to clean up all of these units? I think it's gonna be close. Siege tank still around. 21 confirmed kills. Okay. Okay. Looks like Rogue is gonna get a wave 2. Reinforcing troops right now are showing up on the other side of the map. We're even dropping a mule. That's not BM. That's to try and repair the siege tank. Although he's busy microing his units right now and that tank still dies. I think this is going to seal the deal right here for Rogue. The siege tank's really the backbone of this fight. The mule is like, hit me, hit me. Fair enough, buddy. Couple of lips coming in too. Which is why Rogue had so much urgency, right? He couldn't really let that army just sit there because it was just going to turtle up even harder. Okay. Rogue stabilizes. Rogue stabilizes, and with it, he, grabs a significant advantage. That means we are gonna go to game number 3. And that game, it takes place on ley lines. Final match in this best of 3 series. So far, these two have been extremely closely matched. I love that killer instinct, though, in Rogue's gameplay. He's always had it. Always looking for an opportunity. Always predicting what the opponent does. Absolute world-class player. Let's see what we can do right here on ley lines. 3rd CC coming up nice and early. Let me have a quick little peek. I know that Rogue's tournament earnings are extremely high. So Rogue is one of the very few StarCraft 2 millionaires as far as tournament earnings go. So he has earned an approximate total winnings of $1,063,000, not including team salaries, sponsorships, all the rest of it. GuMiho not quite that high. GuMiho is sitting at 357,000. Nah. Both of these players, of course, have fulfilled their mandatory military services, which is always good to know. At this point, there's really only a handful of StarCraft pros that still need to do it. Most notably, I guess, Maru? Yeah, I remember, dude, it's so weird to me, because I remember, like, watching the very first GSL Code S. And Maru at the time was part of it. Now, I think he was 12 years old when he first managed to qualify for that event. So Maru is now 27. So he's gonna have to start it up in the next year or 2. Dark, I guess, also still has to do it, but I don't know what's happening in that regard. I mean, he's been saying he needs to go and do it every day since about 2022. So, yeah, here we are. Cheeky little Hellion run by. Trying to see if he can deal critical amounts of damage. Nothing all too exciting. It is a Roach Warren opener, by the way, here for Rogue, so no quick link speed, meaning that these Hellions can just sort of roam and be an absolute nuisance. More Hellions now over at the 3rd base, too. Oh, the drones managed to get a hit. Brenda finished the job here eventually. I don't think that was a terrible trade there for either player. It's okay. It's mostly the mining loss. Mining loss is quite good. Jimmy! Jimmy, no! What? Jimmy! Jimmy, get off the creep! Okay. Well, don't know how you even got there. What happened? GuMiho does not care much for his Marines. What he does care for, though, is Marine upgrades. He's going to be getting those up in just a moment. Cloak is going to finish up for Banshees. Stimpack is on the horizon as well. It's going to be a while until that upgrade is done, but... Poor Jimmy went up in a cloud of acid. Yeah, these roaches are kind of insane. I don't know what they spit, but it's disgusting. Probably very painful too. Fun fact, every single unit in the game has a specific name for each attack. I have no idea what the attack of a roach is called. You can probably figure it out. It doesn't even say it on the Wikipedia page. That's funny. Oh no, it does! The attack of a roach is called acid saliva. Acid saliva. What about a siege tank? Let me have a look at the siege tank. Very memorable after game number 1. They have the Crucio Shock Cannon. That's what it's called when they're in their siege mode. When they're not in their siege mode, the attack is called 90mm cannons. There you go. Pretty chunky cannon, eh? What about the Hellion? Somebody, by the way, at the Blizzard office came up with all these names. Infernal Flamethrower is apparently what the Hellion's attack is called. Does the Hellbat have the same name? Nope. The Hellbat's attack name is Napalm Spray. Yeah, somebody at the Blizzard office, I guess they made like a random name generator or something, and they just came up with all the upgrades and all of the different abilities. It is curious. We once more have a second factory coming up, but this is much more of a macro-focused approach. A standard timing right there for a macro Terran who wants to play bio. Yeah, standard-ish. Nothing too crazy. 4th command center coming up. 1-1 just about to finish. We do have an armory. Yep, we do. It's hiding in the back of the main, so GuMiho can still go into a nice, quick 2-2 if he wants to. Rogue going straight up towards a hive. Finally finishing up Metabolic Boost. Should be able to go quickly into the Adrenal Glands upgrade too. I wonder who came up with the name Nanomuscular Swell. Like, that is the most recent of recent upgrades. The Hydra Lunge research. Who came up with that? Anyways, Roach is running in. Zergling's trying to see if they can also help this this party out a little bit. Marines will just settle for killing one. Ooh, okay. Brenda gets burnt. One Spore Crawler instead. It's an Ultra Cavern? Really, Rogue? Huh. I thought we were going high for a Viper or two and then maybe Adrenal Glands. Well, I guess I can tell you that GuMiho is not gonna expect Ultras. The thing is, we have seen GuMiho get a little bit fancy, right? We have seen GuMiho get a little... Like, GuMiho has never really been a Ghost Man. I know there's a lot of Ghost Men out there. Specifically, a lot of Nova men. But GuMiho doesn't make a lot of Ghost Academies in Ghost. He's made them in the past, and he does make them, but mostly if he really needs to. He's good at controlling them as well, but if he doesn't get Ghosts, or at the bare minimum Liberators, Ultras are actually gonna tear it all apart. It's a little risky though, because this takes a while to research. He's already evacuating a base. Zergling counterattack is actually putting in quite a bit of work. So far, this would have been the moment to already put down a Ghost Academy. Those additional barracks inside of the main base, they did get... Where are they? Ah, no, they did get tech labs on them. So he could make additional... Like, he could make a Ghost Academy, he just hasn't. He killed a base, he really needs to. Yeah, Terrans are sometimes a bit allergic to making a Ghost Academy. I don't know why. It's one of the absolute best units in the game, but oftentimes it's just not something you want to build. Now, keep in mind, Ultras are, yes, decent, but with a little asterisk right next to it. Now they're spotted, and they don't yet have chitinous plating. That upgrade is absolutely critical. Without armor upgrades, those Ultras are just going to pop. GuMiho's +2, though, is extremely late. I don't like this at all. You should have really started those up as soon as the +1 ended, but that's a while ago now. Ultras may be the best weapon of choice here. Chitinous plating, 10 seconds. You're too early. You're too early, man. Oh, no. He pulled the trigger a bit too quick. Yeah, the Ultras just popped. Completely useless without chitinous plating. Now the upgrade is finished. Oh, well, you can bottle your own units, I guess. That's one way to get rid of them. Oh, no. I think Rogue may have just blundered a little bit. A little over-eager. Ultra Cavern goes down. I mean, I do still think you want to make a new Ultra Cavern if you feel like this game is going to go on longer. I don't think you really have another option. Ground Carapace level 2 is just about to finish up too, and now these Ultras are going to be extremely good, but we've already lost, well, only 2 of them actually? Oh, alright. Well, a lot of the other units fell because of it, I suppose. More Ultras are about to pop though. Still no Ghost Academy. Gumi, we're queuing 1 million Marauders. Can we just, like, stop doing that and make 1 Ghost Academy, please? It's weird. I don't think he really needs them. Keep in mind that Ultras are now slower off creep. They used to be quicker off creep. They got nerfed a little bit in that department in the most recent balanced patch. It's interesting to me how a lot of Terrans are like, yo, see? Ghosts aren't even that overpowered because I don't need them to win. This is kind of the mindset we've been seeing a lot. Oh my lord, I think it's gonna stay alive. There's a big fight happening. Okay, it does finish the job, but in the meantime, GuMiho is destroying the 3rd base. I think Rogue had all of the tools at his disposal to drive this series home. But then, well, we had the premature Ultralisks. GG gets gold. It's GuMiho who obtains the victory in a very fun series of StarCraft 2.